So the homie Dom hit me up with some shorts. Like, yeah, these are all trash. Can you like fix them? This one has paint on it. This one has fucking like oil spots and shit all over it. And then this pair has fucking burn holes in it. So like, if I give you some supplies, can you make these nice? I was like, you already know what's up. I pretty much instantly knew exactly what I was gonna do with all of them because they're all black and white, so it's the absolute easiest colors to work with. And I have tons of piles of shit that I've been waiting to use. So I grabbed the first things that seemed fitting for the theme. On this first pair, I was gonna put the towel shirt that he gave me on the front, I believe, and then I had this science test answer shirt with hella anatomy and skeletons and nerves and shit on it. So I decided that would fit it, and then have this little common sense patch from a T-shirt that Dom gave me back a while ago, just to have to work with. For the second pair with the fucking oil spots, I knew I was gonna have to do some sort of dye work to either get rid of that or cover it up. So instantly, I'm just gonna take the color out of that with this RIT color remover. I just started using it like a couple projects ago, and it worked super nice. And then I'm gonna dye them sunshine orange. And I was gonna put this like little cooler looking pocket on there for like Trulies and seltzer drinks and shit, but he ended up not wanting it. But the orange should match up with this Vegas Harley Davidson Cafe shirt that came from my girlfriend's dad like years ago. That's nice and silky. And then for the third pair, I had another silky shirt that came from my girlfriend's dad, and this one had like Budweiser tag on it, and it was Sturgis 2004, I believe. And then this pocket came off some Polo Ralph Lauren chinos. Oh no, they weren't chinos, they were painter pants. Big ass pockets. So I decided I was gonna do some sort of patch on there, and then add these flames, these like silk flames on the front panel probably. Now that I got all the concepts together, it's time to just get it done. So I went through the test answers and chose what I thought was the most fitting sections from it, which is just a full body skeleton to match the ribs, and this little panel with the title Blinded by Science to match the common sense. I felt those two go together. And I'm gonna figure a way to put that Bacardi on there. And so back to this pair, I figured maybe I should do it some sort of flame outline on this patch to match the other flames. So I have this shipping paper that I'm gonna use for a stencil. But this pair is definitely gonna take the longest. I'm gonna start that one right now. The RIT color remover is activated by heat, so you have to use hot water, and it'll let it begin to strip the color from whatever you put it on. And then cold water is how you stop it, so I gotta have both on hand. I'm not sure if this is like at all how you're supposed to use it, but this is how I used it my first time. So I just pour it directly onto the oil spots to make sure those get eaten up of color and maybe of the oil if it has that sort of property. But then spread the rest pretty much random, just same way I would bleach something, just no agenda, just place it anywhere. And now I'm gonna bring this hot water over here and begin to pour it as carefully as possible to keep the powder in place, but it's for sure gonna move around if you decide to do this method. I ended up running out of water a couple of times, so I think I had a total of like 3 mugs of water. on top of this, and that's just pouring it on the front. And so then I pour the cold water on the front there to stop that because it's had enough. So then I take the remainder of the color remover and add it to the back, then activate it, and then deactivate it, and then it's time to take it to the wash. As you can see, this basically works almost the same as bleach. Like, it takes it to a kind of tannish color, never like a pure white. But I saw a little bit of green or blue in there as well. And then it was during this time that I discovered a fucking shit ton of holes in the back and along the waistline of this, where it just was super fucking thinned out. And I definitely had to patch that up. I treat the color remover just like normal dye. So when I wash it, I just use whatever towel I have that already got dirty from washing it with dyes before. But I'm gonna put this on a small cycle on cold water. And while that's washing, I'm gonna figure out this stencil. So you're gonna need paper, pencil, pen, whatever you wanna write with or draw with. A marker to make it bold and thick and to let it bleed onto your stencil paper. And then scissors to cut it out. And tape for putting your tracing paper onto the screen. And then you wanna just find whatever you're looking for. When I came to this page, I definitely thought two stuck out. That first one and then the fourth one. And I'm pretty sure I ended up using the fourth one because it was more simple and I could use it on more things. So you want to click your photo, try to blow it up to its full size and its full resolution if you can, even if it means downloading it. I definitely wanted this one as big as I could possibly get it, so I opened the picture and I stretched it until it fit on the whole screen. I think I tried to press F11 to go full screen here and it definitely didn't work, but I'm pretty sure this was as big as I could get it, and so I just taped this piece of paper to my screen and got to tracing it. Now what I do here is go over this with a black marker and get a nice thick line on it so there's less room for error in the next step. Because what you're gonna do with that is tape this or layer this onto your shipping or packaging paper and then just redo the outline, but slow and hard enough for all of the ink to bleed through so you can have another line on the other paper. Something I do with all of my packaging paper, since all of it's used, and I use it for my templates and patterns so often, is I have to iron it just to have it flat. And then from there, you tape on the first stencil. And then you do the second outline that I mentioned to get it to bleed through onto the brown paper. Depending on what kind of papers you use, it may or may not bleed all the way through all the layers of the paper, but mine just left a faint marking and a trail exactly where I needed to go through and refine the lines. So I just opened it up and darkened those lines until they were what I needed, and then from there, just cut it out. And so now that it's cut out, this is your new stencil. and I took a separate flame to use for accents whenever I do use this on other things. But this is what we're using it for right now, and it's not gonna need the extra ones. So I laid the stencil down and outlined the flames that I wanted, and then I'm gonna go through and do a straight stitch on that line in a contrasting color so it pops off. So when it's time to put it onto the pocket, I'm gonna pin it down and line it up real quick and see where I want it to lay before I go and cut out the background of the flames, the negative space. But then after you go in and cut that, this is what it'll look like. The silky material does fray, so I'm gonna be going around the flames with a small zigzag to secure it, and then securing the border of it before I put the pocket onto the pants. So back to these ones, I guess this is just where I wanted to put the shit, so I pinned it there, and I'll find a spot for the rest of the shit after that's down. You'll see it better in a second, but I put these patches down with a zigzag stitch after going around with the regular straight one. It was probably on a size, like on a zig size 3 and the length size 2. So I just decided to put the ribs up front and have the other little patch right here. And then throw the Bacardi logo over by the swoosh. I put the other patches down the same way with a straight and then a zig, but I didn't put a zigzag on the Bacardi logo because the graphic was super tacky, and there was no way that was gonna happen, and it was gonna look messy anyway. But that wraps up that pair of shorts. This is what the gray and white flames ended up looking like after I trimmed it down and folded the edges, and then also what the back of the shorts look like with the pocket pinned in place. But before that goes to machine, these shorts are done drying now, and this is what they look like before the dye. The dye I'm going to be using for this pair is RIT powder dye in the color Sunshine Orange. And I'm going to be using the bucket method using almost boiling hot water. I'm pretty sure you're supposed to add this to the water, but fuck it, we're going to put this in first. I tried to put in a good amount without putting in the whole package so I could use it on some other shit and still have a good deep color. Of course, don't be a fucking idiot while you're handling this shit. It's hot as fuck. Use precaution. Use fucking oven mitts and gloves and shit. And use 2 hands for this, or prop up the bucket or something so you can just pour it directly onto the side and not have the shit splashing everywhere. You're gonna want to stir it to help dissolve the powder, but I didn't have any utensils, so I just put the pants in there and started shaking the shit. After getting all of it covered and soaked in, I let it sit in there for about 20 minutes probably before I rinsed it thoroughly in the sink with hella running water. Like, let the water run for like 15 minutes type shit until it's clear. After rinsing those, I put them in the washing machine and took the pin pieces to the sewing machine and put all that down with 2 separate straight stitches, one as close to the edge as possible, and then one as far away from the edge. Like, I lined up the edge of the fabric with the right edge of my foot, and then moved the needle to the left. What I did for the back pocket was I started at the top and went around and then just went all the way back in one continuous straight stitch. And so now the second pair of shorts is done and the third pair is in the dryer right now, probably. I mentioned earlier that I had noticed thinning spots in these shorts, so I just went through and patched them all up with a little piece of t-shirt behind them and then orange thread and just going forward and backward and doing a distress type stitch. After doing all that with the orange, I went back in and did it with yellow as well, but only on some of them. And this is what all the patches looked like when they were done. So now that everything's fixed up, it's time to add the silk patches from the Harley Cafe shirt. And I'm gonna put those on the same way I put on the gray flames and the Sturgis patches. This is what the third and final product looks like.